pleasure to introduce Srimati Sandhya Prakashji with over 23 years of work experience. Srimati Sandhya ji is an entrepreneur, singer, and spiritual artist based currently in Dubai, UAE. She is an inspiring speaker and addressed various forms like TEDx, vegetarian advocacy, and sustainability panels worldwide. Srimati Sandhya ji is the founder and managing director of Beacon Energy Solution and Technology, a Dubai-based company which is working on design, supply, and installation of clean energy solution for UAE. She has trained over 800 students in solar cooking as empowered 70 plus companies to save 50% energy consumption. Srimati Sandhya ji is certified Tamara Energy and Ho'oponopono practitioner for over 10 years, inspired over 400 individuals to be a better version of themselves. Srimati Sandhya ji studied at BITS Pilani and was the first woman to be the global chairperson of BITS Alumni Association. Her motto, keep joining the dots to bring clarity. Now, we'll listen to Srimati Sandhya Prakashji. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible to all of you and wish you all a very, very happy Ganesh Chaturthi. This is the second day and I'm really honored with Pradeep and team's invitation from Bahrain. I used to live in Saudi Arabia before this, and the King Fahd Causeway has been my connection to Bahrain for a very long time. So I'm really pleased to be back on air during this time. So I will start with a short prayer and we'll move on. I will be using a PowerPoint presentation thereafter to lead you through today's topic, which is Mushika Vahana Gajanana, as to why the mouse has been chosen as a vehicle for Lord Ganesha. So it's going to be extremely interactive, and I will invite all of you, kids and adults, adults with little children in your heart, so to interact as and when you need in the end. Okay, so let me start. Ekadanta Gunavanta Vinayaka Mangala Charana Sankataharana Pranavaswarupa Pahi Gajanana Pranavaswarupa Pahi Gajanana Prathama Vandana Gauri Nandana Prathama Vandana Gauri Nandana. So let's ensure that all of you are able to see my screen. And there we go. So the housekeeping rules, you can use the chat box to put your questions, and Pradeep ji or Vinaya ji or Rajiv ji will read them out at the end so that we can answer. Yeah. So let's go for it. Mooshika Vahana Gajanana. Joining the dots along with me today, we're going to connect three aspects: the human, an elephant, and a mouse. Why the human, an elephant, and a mouse today? Very simple. As you see on the right-hand top corner, you have a mouse pulling a chariot, On top of it is sitting our hero of the day, who is Ganesha. And he has an elephant head and a body of a human. So here's where we are going to join the three dots, the human, an elephant, and a mouse. Now, to join these three, we will be having three stories to start. The first will be on Manusha, the human. Second will be talking about Moksha with an elephant story, and Mushika, which will be the main stay of today. Yeah, so three kathas, get ready. For Manusha, the first story, I'm sure some of you have heard of The Blind Men and the Elephant by John Godfrey Sachs. So what happened was, he wrote a wonderful little story for us to get a perspective. And on your left-hand corner, you can see it was 6 men of Indostan, to learning much inclined, who went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind, that each by observation might satisfy his mind. So what they did was 6 blind men were sent near a elephant. And what happened? If you see the guy on the left-hand most corner for you, he was blindfolded, right? When he touched the elephant, he said, "Oh my God, this is a rope." The guy on the right-hand corner, he was blindfolded. And when he touched something, he didn't know the overall picture. He said, "Oh, wow, this is a snake." The guy beside him said, "No way, this is a spear." The person next to it, touching the legs of the elephant, actually, because we are able to see the whole picture, he said, "No, no, this is a tree." And the guy on the ladder said, "Oh my God, I'm standing near a fan. This is a fan." And the last guy, he said, "This is a wall." What happened actually was everybody was seeing the perspective through their own eyes, internal eyes, right? Because they had blindfold on their actual eyes. So the same thing can be seen through and assessed and analyzed as being different. So the moral of this story is, so often theological wars, the disputants, I ween, rail on in utter ignorance of what each other mean, and prate about an elephant not one of them has seen. Nobody had seen an elephant before. So each one thought that this was a snake or a rope. So in life, what happens is there are wars, misunderstandings, argument between you and your friend or any other people, just because you see from a different perspective and we don't know what is the overall picture. So it's very important to join the dots and understand each other's perspective. Story number 2. Let's move now to the elephant story. Some of you may have heard of Gajendra, an elephant who lived in a garden Ritumat on Mount Trikuta. Okay, this was a there were 3 mountain peaks, and there was this beautiful garden, and it had a lake full of lotus flowers. It was like almost like heaven. And there was this leader elephant called Gajendra who used to live in this lake, and he was like, with all other elephants, going to take a shower, enjoy themselves in the lake. On the left, you can see that. One fine day, what happened? A crocodile came up and held on to his feet. Not just held on, but clutched at his feet and tried to pull it down. Gajendra was in pain. Gajendra used to pray to Lord Vishnu every single day. He was a very divine elephant, right? And on that particular day, though there was so much pain and he started trumpeting loudly, he picked up a lotus and prayed aloud. In the beginning, all his herd tried to save him. They tried to pull him. But when they saw him losing a battle against the crocodile, they just moved away. And hearing the cries, Vishnu, with his Sudarshan Chakra, killed the crocodile and Gajendra was relieved. Over a period of time, the power of prayer and surrender is enormous. And we all know this particular shloka, which is a prayer made on Gajendra on the occasion of become a famous hymn in praise. Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vigno Prashantaye. So this is the story of the elephant. And when we surrender and pray when nothing else works, there's always prayer and surrender for us to move to the next level. Let's come to the story of the day. Now we have our third story, and this is Mooshika. Mooshika means mouse. It is also, you can say, the same species as rat as well. And a vehicle. He became the vehicle of Lord Ganesha. Now, can you think of a big sized human with an elephant head and a small little tiny mouse as a vehicle? What's the story behind it? So Vahana is vehicle. You know that Shiva has Nandi the bull as a vehicle. Vishnu has Garuda eagle as a vehicle. Indra Airavat, another elephant in our mythology. Saraswati ji with Hamsa, which is a swan. So they all have vehicles, right? And let's see what happened with Ganesha. So you all have brothers, sisters, friends, right? Who take you on a cycle. And when you were little, all the adults, we've all gone on dubs sitting behind somebody's bicycle or a bike. So similarly, Ganesha with his brother, Skanda or Muruga, as he is known, he had a vehicle called a Peacock. And sitting on that, he took Ganesha for a ride. He took him for a ride. They went all over the place. They had a great sibling time together. So when they came back, they sat as a family, Shiva, Parvati, and Muruga. Shiva had Nandi the bull, Parvati had Simha, the lion, Muruga had a peacock, and Ganesha threw a tantrum. And he said, "Oh my God, I am the only one who doesn't have a vehicle. I need a vehicle too. I need a Vahana." And all the animals, they were thinking what to give Ganesha. And they picked mouse. And mouse or Mushika was given as the vehicle for Ganesha. He was so thrilled. He didn't know what a mouse was. He made great friends with the mouse. And they had a lovely, lovely time together. Used to take him everywhere, wherever he went, so on and so forth. Yeah. So the family, all of them had a Vahana. Now let's go and ask ourselves, why do we need a Vahana? Why do we need a vehicle? Suppose I'm going to come from Dubai to Bahrain. I can walk on 2 feet, can I? When I was in Saudi, I used to imagine because I couldn't drive, okay, I didn't have a vehicle in Saudi in those days. And while going across the King Fahd Causeway, I used to wonder that only a vehicle needs a pass. What if I decide to walk across the causeway? How much time it would take for me? So it would take a long time. So a vehicle to get from point A to point E via point B, C, D, the only reason we use a vehicle is because we want to get somewhere fast, right? Otherwise, our feet is enough. Maybe a cycle is enough. Maybe a bike is enough. But then we use an aeroplane to get to farther off places. So one is the speed of travel. And what better than a mouse for speed of travel, right? So you have an agile guy. They work in the night, so it's a nocturnal animal. It sees very well. They leap very well. Mouse also swims in water. Very agile Vahana that Ganesha had. Now, they can also excavate burrows. So wherever there is a problem or an obstacle, a mouse can get there, even if Ganesha can't. And Ganesha on a mouse can really get there with his spirit riding on the mouse. So that was the key sense behind him getting this particular Vahana. Let's go a little deeper, right? Just write down the questions and everything in the chat box, because some things may be ticking in your head, and just start typing it there. Why not? Okay. So let's compare in size. So even in size, if you see on your right-hand side, you have this big elephant, you have a small, tiny mouse. A fast and small-sized creature is a mouse. A slow and a large-sized creature in an elephant. So when you bring both of them together, it is like the best combo. You know, you bring both of them together, you can become fast and you can have the, so that is about the speed, right? But what about the weight? How do we? So I started researching a little just for today to share especially for you guys, okay? And I came across a lead author, Dr. Jose Ferreira. And Dr. Jose Ferreira has said that Neopeblema was about 5 feet long and weighed around 80 kg. That is a rodent. And this rodent was bigger than capybara, which was the largest living rodent, which is about 60 kgs. Can you imagine that? That's, almost my weight, or, any human's weight. This rodent is an extinct relative of chinchillas and pacaranas and inhabited the western Brazilian Amazonia about 10 million years ago. On the right-hand side, what you see is the fossils and the bone structure of various mice as they have evolved from the largest out here to the smallest as we have evolved, So the mouse that you see today is probably not the mouse that we are talking about many, many, many moons ago, right? So this is a possibility. Wow, you can go and please write down Neopeblema, go and Google it for yourself. So let's look at the brain size. So Neopeblema, described in the journal Biology Letters, was not very bright. A digital reconstruction of its brain using CT scan has shown, suppose a human brain was 3 pounds, Neopeblema, his weight, brain's weight, okay? I'm talking about not about the weight of the whole being, but the brain weight was just 4 ounces. So if I arrange the mouse, the human, the elephant, in terms of brain, I've given humans lesser brain than elephant because they have more memory, and they are just gigantic, and they are such enormous creatures even today. So this is my more personal bias towards an animal over a human, and I'll tell you why I'm a little more biased, because they're more intelligent in protecting the environment than us. This is my thought. Yeah. So we'll talk about it in a bit. So all this came from a memory that I have of, I'm a member of the Dubai Natural History Group here. And because of my close association as an environmentalist with nature over the years, we go on various field trips, treks, and so on. And the Dubai Natural History Group trip to Al Gharbia in Abu Dhabi, I think it was about 8 to 10 years ago, was one of the most important days as far as I'm concerned, apart from the visits to the pyramids in Egypt and other places. This particular place is an unknown, quite lesser known area. And it's like a salt pan, and that has been continuously been excavated in Abu Dhabi. And 7 million years ago, a herd of elephants were crossing a muddy area in what is currently modern-day Al Gharbia. This is called the elephant trackway. This trackway is preserved and buried for millennia together. Now it has turned into a huge clue about the lives of prehistoric animals, suggesting similarities in their behavior between them and the ancestors. So if you see on the right side, this is more an imaginary picture in Al Gharbia, how it may have been when they crossed. And on the left-hand side, I want to share this beautiful location because I was there. I've seen it with my own eyes. And these are footprints of elephant trackways in between the desert in Abu Dhabi. Okay, so it's not something out of the mythology, but there is scientific evidence that proves that many, many moons ago, like 6 million, 10 million years ago, this was the shape of the earth, right? We call it Pangea. So you should Google this again, though for those who don't know, where all the continents were joined together. In fact, I was just looking at it, and please look at it carefully, and there are various shapes that you can see on the planet Earth. And what has happened is, if you see from the south, which is the African terrain, it is not impossible to believe that the elephants have walked all across Africa and out into the Middle East, and probably went till wherever the weather permitted for them, or had a similar thing. And if you see, the equator is here, and then from here until the next tropic, it may have been pretty much okay. You have India here, Nav Bharat. Kudos to you for doing this for all the kids and bringing them together. So India just moved away because the earth is expanding, all the landforms are moving. So this is a conjecture, right? It's a theory that I've come up with, and I'm first time sharing it with Nav Bharat and all you kids today here on this show. So mouse, human, and elephant. So if you see a graph, for those of you who love comparing and making charts, the mouse is in blue, human in orange, and the elephant in gray. The heaviest, definitely, it would be something like this. The mouse is smallest, human, and then the elephant. In terms of speed, undoubtedly, it's the mouse wins hands down. So you see the balance between the two. And the brainiest, again, I think the elephants are more brainy than us, and we'll go to why. Okay. So we want to see Ganesha dancing, the mouse eating. Isn't that what we want? That anybody who we revere, whoever is higher soul than us, our teachers, everybody should be dancing and happy with joy when we do something. So what is our human race's responsibility to? We are having this 9-day festival, and we're going to go through many things that we are going to talk. And suppose we have elephant at the center. What is our responsibility? The elephant, let's look at it from 3 perspectives: ivory, rides, and mouse. Let's take the first, ivory. We know how many elephants are being killed just to get the ivory. You saw the guy who was treating it as a spear. We need to step up. We need to, I know of companies that develop apps to ensure poaching doesn't happen in various parts. So as kids, as adults, we need to preserve the elephant species here. And that is why we are actually celebrating. That is the best way to celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi, when we actually preserve the elephant species on the planet. Elephant, we use them for rides, weddings. Grooms sit on that and come to a wedding. Is it necessary? It's time to ask ourselves. Tourists in a safari, is it necessary to go on an elephant? Can we not ride on something else? Because whenever we take them for rides, even gods in temples, I know this is a contentious issue, but I think the time has come when human beings can evolve to being more considerate. And children in circus, that's almost gone. Similarly, the elephant and mouse, we use mouse in lab experiments. Phenomenal amounts of cruelty that happens in lab to mouse with experiments. We need to think and see what responsibility we can take. Yeah. Human race's responsibility, that was an external responsibility, which is in the environment, and this is the internal responsibility. If you see, Ganesha took 8 avatars. In those 8 avatars, 8 अवतार में उन्होंने मूषिक वाहन 5 में यूज किया है, बाकी सब में अलग वाहन है. ठीक है, उसमें थोड़ा आप रिसर्च करें, तो then you will realize that Gajanana destroyed the demon of greed, the demon of delusion and confusion, demon of anger, demon of pride and inebriation, right? So you don't want to be, and the demon of ego. Ahankara, greed, delusion, all these he sat on a mouse. I leave this as a homework for you guys. Figure out why so. Why is it with Gajanana sitting on a mouse. Okay, so this is a food for thought for all of us. I also leave you with 3 recommended reading. Now, well, Ganesha in modern times has to be looking at an iPad, right? I could not have him with a phone or an iPad in his. Even the mouse, his friend, both of them are on little pads. And then please go check out Amar Chitra Kathas, which there with all these. And particular link I will later on the chat box for those who need. Abu Dhabi Culture, what I told you about the Melissa Elephant Trackway, you should read up about it. And then there is a very nice book also by Devdutt Patnaik, 99 Thoughts. Ganesha, I recommended you to do this. And I'm almost to the end with the presentation as such. And I'm open to taking live questions, even otherwise. Just see how I stop sharing, and then we can so that and thank you for listening, all of you. In terms
Ganesh,
of
do you have any questions?
some way
Yes,
I can
it's
see the chat.
interesting part now. Now you can raise your hand with the interesting questions. Okay. Abhirami has?
Yes. Namaste, ma'am. My doubt is if Ganesha sits on a mouse, the mouse will hurt, right? So why didn't the mouse give up?
So that's the weight question, right? So the weight when you compare of a mouse and Ganesha, the mouse is too tiny as of now in present times. So question I asked myself, it can't be so illogical, so in those times, 6 million years ago, definitely the mice evolution meant they were 60 to 70 kg weight. That is why Ganesha could sit on it. But having said that, there are various species that are there. And in case he had to move around, rather physically on a mouse and going around. What's your
Abhirami.
me? Okay.
Thank you.
She is our question bank.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead. Not just because we are all child.
Ma'am, myself has one question.
Yes, Vinaya, go ahead.
Yes, I heard in some story that Mushika was a Asura. Is it right?
Yes, in one or two of the places, is even Gajendra Moksham, if you were to some curse. Okay, invariably, all animal species, if they liberated by helium, where have been things you need to test. The mouse was also a form of Asura, very much possible. Yeah, and I did read somewhere, I don't remember the name of the Asura, but he was supposed to serve Ganesha in the as a mouse for many, many years, and then he would be liberated by the Lord. So yes. See, Asura and Devas also both are needed and always present on the earth. Okay, it is not that, oh, the Asuric tendencies in people and people around us, there are many people even today. And those Asuric tendencies you can't give away. In spite of all that we try, we can only subdue that, right? We all have it in us and we need to manage it. So the Asura, when we say you can't, for example, Ravana, yeah, he's an Asura, but he was a very learned Pandit. And a couple of actions of his ensured that came from a space of wrong intent. So I think, Vinay, you're right. When you say that the Mushika was an Asura, because he had the tough task, like Abhirami was saying.
Anybody has any questions? Or if you don't want to ask, you can put it in our chat box. If you feel shy, you can put it in the chat box. Dipanshi, you don't have any questions? No.
I think I'll ask a question.
Yeah, Rajiv, go ahead.
No, since we brought it up, I just always had this inquisitiveness, about using elephants for festival or temple purposes, rituals, and all of that. Just wanted your feedback on why you think this should not be done.
In today's world, I think we all when we don't know things, it's all okay. It's like whether you'd like to eat meat or not, right? So till we don't know and experience the fact that what is the cruelty and harm and the hurt that is happening to the animal, till you don't feel it, it's all okay. So Rajiv, we know that there are various mahots who take great care of elephants in temples, but end of the day, if you look at the nature and the natural way that elephants live in the forest and roam free, and an elephant tied to a tree or away from a herd, we just have to take a call as to what is right, what is not. Okay. And I think in the COVID times, one thing is very, very clear to all of us, that the birds are roaming free, the animals are roaming free, the humans are behind four walls and in the jail. And I think it's a great time to reflect and see there is nothing right or wrong as far as timelines go, but we need to evolve our thinking. So my personal opinion is the time has come for us to live along with animals rather than subjugate them to man's will and wishes. So be it a birdhouse, it is, be it a birdhouse with birds inside it, or just allowing them to free fly, which is the right thing. Anybody would say it should free fly, right? So it depends on that. Rajiv, to answer your question, my personal opinion is they should be roaming the forests rather than serving human beings. Okay, there is a question in the chat box. And it is also said that Mushika symbolizes ignorance and darkness. Please explain. Now, as I mentioned in my brief chat and research that I was doing a little while ago, was that ignorance, I wouldn't say. Darkness, yes, because a mouse, if you take the fact that it can see after the owl, probably the mouse comes out for eating in the night time. Yeah, it forages for food in the night. It loves the darkness. Now, what is darkness? Darkness within your heart. When you talk about internal, yes. The 5 doshas that I spoke about, where Ganesha rides a mouse to come in the avtara for killing those greed and anger and so on and so forth. It can only be done when there is light and darkness both together for you to expose, right? What is darkness but an absence of light? It's so clear. If you just have light everywhere, then there is no meaning of darkness, and you won't know what is darkness. And the darkness of the heart internally and darkness outside, it definitely represents darkness. But why should you be scared of darkness? That is the whole point. There has to be dark, there has to be light for at least 50% of the time, every time. And we just have to wade through it. So Mushika symbolizes ignorance. Ignorance to a certain extent. If you saw the brainy a slide. So I want to tell you something about this. Please, guys, also Google this. There is a concept called encephalization. Okay, encephalization is over a period of time in evolution. There is a relationship between the body size. Okay, the brain and the body size. It's called EQ also, not like emotional quotient, but this is called the encephalization quotient. So if you study that, the average EQ of a human being, which is the encephalization quotient, which is the body size and brain comparison, is about 6. And for rodents, it is about 1.05. And for neopiblema, which I told you many centuries ago, millions of years ago, it is 0.3. So definitely it's a very small brain, and that is ignorance, right? So when you are looking at both natural phenomena and internal phenomena, both corroborate very correctly for this. Yes, it does. So who was that? Radhika Nair? I hope I have answered your question. The answer is yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the answer.
Welcome, Radhika. Welcome.
Ma'am, it's Radhika's mother here, Lakshmi.
Hi, Lakshmi.
Hi, ma'am.
Great to have you guys here. Almost feels like I'm, in Bahrain. many.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you for your time and your to share your precious knowledge with us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity, guys. I think you're doing a good job bringing people together on an occasion like this for 7 to 9 days. And, I could have gone on and chanted a lot of shlokas and that, but I felt it was important to bring in the connect of the mouse, the elephant, and human being, and our responsibility in today's day and age. Thank you, everybody, very much. And even later, if you have any questions, you have my LinkedIn to connect with me. Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yes, Baba?
I'm Prakriti. Do you know Ganesha's brother's name?
Prakriti? Hi, Prakriti. How are you doing? Yes.
I'm fine.
Muruga.
Muruga. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you can Google all these things, and you guys, and your name is Prakriti. Wow, I'm so thrilled. You know what it means? It means nature. Yeah. So you should be a naturalist, an environmentalist. You should definitely think about it. I'm a bird watcher, and that's a great hobby to have as well. Go out and see nature, be one with nature. You learn a lot. It's the best teacher that I've had.
Ma'am Sandhya ji, as you said at the end, you can chant some shlokas. If you can do that,
awesome.
we would be very much delighted, because we had the 5 weeks of Bal Shibir, in which our children have learned 15 shlokas.
Awesome. Are they going to do that today? Are they going to be chanting?
They will be chanting. Any one of them will be chanting all the 15 shlokas now. After you chant some shlokas.
Okay, sure. Let me see what I want to do and give me a sec. गणपति गुणनायका गणनाथा गणपति गुणनायका गणनाथा गजमुख गुणनायका गणनाथा गणपति गुणनायका गणनाथा गजाननं भूतगणातिसेवितं कवित्तचम्बूफलसारभक्षितम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वर पादपङ्कजम् गणेश ॐ गणेश ॐ गणेश ॐ गाओ गणेश ॐ गणेश ॐ गणेश ॐ गणेश ॐ गाओ गणेश ॐ सिद्धिविनायक गणेश ॐ लंबोधर हे गणेश ॐ सिद्धिविनायक गणेश ॐ लंबोधर हे गणेश ॐ गणपति बाप्पा मोरया 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 गणेश ॐ गणेश ॐ गाओ गणेश ॐ गणेश ॐ गाओ गणेश ॐ
Thank you very much,
You're
Sandhya
welcome.
ji. Vinaya ji, please take over, and agar aap, if you have the time, you can stay for another like half an hour. We will have some children chanting shlokas and bhajans. Then we
of Ganesh Chaturthi. I feel blessed to have opportunity to give a vote of thanks speech on behalf of Nav Bharat. I would like to thank Srimati Sandhya Prakash ji for a wonderful and informative section about Mushika as a Vahana. There are many things we are learned today by your words of wisdom. Thanks to our Honorable Jai Kumar ji, President, and thanks to Honorable General Secretary Pradeep ji for making the great section. And thank you, Vinaya ji, for being the MC of the event. And I thank each and every participants of Nav Bharat members, those who are watching the whole section. And thank you once again, Sandhya ji.